Hi, konnichiwa. Okay, so today let's compare iPhone SE, iPhone 12 mini, and iPhone 12. So probably there's enough people right now are thinking, oh, I want to get smaller iPhone. So should I get iPhone SE, 12 mini, or maybe 12? What are the differences? Today I want to touch on what are the differences, how is the battery, so you can actually make a decision on which one to get. Okay, so probably one of the biggest concern to get smaller phone is a battery life. So I want to start from battery life. So iPhone SE has 1800 milliampere battery, 12 mini has 2200 milliampere battery, and iPhone 12 has 2800 milliampere battery. So differences are like 400 to 600 milliampere battery, but that doesn't really tell you how long it lasts, right? So to me, my main usage is like Twitter, Instagram, watching video, checking email, that's it. I don't really play game. I sometimes do, but like not really, just to kill time, maybe here and there. So I would say pretty light user. From that perspective, screen time for iPhone SE is 4 to 5 hours to me. 12 mini is gonna be like somewhere between like 5 to 6 hours. Then iPhone 12 is 7 to 8 hours. So those are the my screen time out of these devices. Of course, it depends on the people, right? Like how you use the phone, whether you use 5G or not. And I don't use 5G, so all the tests are done with 4G LTE. So those are my screen time with default setting. But if you optimize your battery setting, you can actually make it longer. So let me teach you like one of my favorite setting to maximize your battery life. Because maybe if you do so, you don't really need to buy a new one so that you can save money. Okay, let me show you. If you go to shortcut, maybe many people haven't really used shortcut, but this is really useful. If you go to the automation, just create personal automation. So this is where you set the conditions, right? So if you go down there, so you see battery level, you press that, and you can actually set battery level 50% or like 40% or something like that. I'm gonna just go with the 50%. Push next and add action. So what this means is whenever battery hits 50%, this phone's gonna do X. Then go to scripting and go down there and you see set low power mode, right? And next, now it says when battery hits 50%, set low power mode. And on the bottom, ask before running. You don't really need to be asked, so like you just turn off, don't ask, and down. This is basically, so whenever your battery hits 50%, it automatically turns on low power mode. Thus, you can use your phone longer. So whenever you buy this smaller phone, you should definitely do this setting. So that's one of the tips. Okay, let's move on to the design differences. At this point, you already know 12 series has flat edge design. So is it better or not? It really depends, right? But to me, when I spread my hand is like 20 centimeter or 7 inches. With my size of my hand, it's really, really comfortable, especially when it feels really grippy and it feels so secure. So I like it. But I wanted to talk about this design benefit for gamers. So this flat edge design is really good for gamers. So whenever you use iPhone SE or something with round design, it is very difficult to hold tightly because your finger is easy to just slip off. But when you have flat edge design, your finger really secures your device. So whenever you're, for example, I don't know, like for shooting games, this design really, really shines and it really affects your gaming performance if you're serious about those things. And I've been playing shooting game and Genshin Impact. This form factor is much, much better and comfortable. So of course, if you go with the bigger iPhone 12, so immersion is much better. So if you're really into gaming, I would highly recommend 12 design. But if you really want to play a lot of games, mini is a little bit concerning, especially when it comes to battery. So I would highly recommend 12 or bigger phones. Let's move on to the speaker. So speaker, for some people love to listen to music from the device. I think you should know that these two devices, 12 mini, SE, they both have similar sound quality and volume. There's not much difference in quality, like high pitch, like a really bass sound. They sound very similar. But when you actually move up to 12, speaker gets louder and bigger and noticeably better. So if you look at the bottom of the speaker grill, iPhone 12 mini only has 6 holes and this one has 8 holes. Probably this contributes to the difference in volume, but also I would suspect the different speaker is inside given the different size. So that's something that you should know if you care about speed. Next, let's move on to the camera. So this year iPhone 12 mini 12 has basically the same camera, so they are very good. Just comparing to iPhone SE, the quality is like a night and day difference. First of all, mini has ultra wide angle lens camera, so like you cannot take ultra wide angle lens camera with this one, so that's a big difference. But also this one has night mode and this one doesn't have night mode, so that's a big difference when it comes to like a night photo and stuff like that. This is much more like all-rounder. Also the video, iPhone 12 mini and 12 shoots up to 30 frames per second with Dolby Vision HDR. So if you care about camera in any way, this is the way to go. iPhone SE camera is identical to iPhone 8, which was released, I believe, in 2017 or 18. So it's really old hardware. So that's something that you should know. Next, reception. So not many people talk about wireless reception. There's a big difference here. iPhone SE has 2x2 design with the much older the modem chips. So speed is slower, but also because the antenna is 2x2, the reception is much worse. On the other hand, iPhone 12 mini and 12, so they have 4x4 antenna, so this is much better in reception. But also, this one has X55 Qualcomm modem chip, which is last year's 5G enabled modem chip. It's not the latest one, but it is noticeably faster compared to iPhone SE. So, I mean, smartphone only works when there's a reception. So, to me, that's a really important difference. So if you're concerned about reception, 12 series are much better. So let's talk about the performance. SE has 3 GB of RAM and A13 Bionic chip, and this one has A14 Bionic chip with 4 GB of RAM. That's the same as iPhone 12. So when you compare Geekbench, yes, there's a difference. So speaking of CPU performance, iPhone 12 series perform roughly 20% better compared to SE. And GPU performance, 12 series perform 30% better compared to SE. So there's a quite big difference. So the question is there any difference that you actually notice in your daily life? So people like me, as I mentioned, I use only Twitter, Instagram, watching video and stuff like that. No, I don't really notice any difference. Uploads roughly at the same time, so speed is pretty much the same. Even when I'm playing Genshin Impact on iPhone SE, iPhone SE handles very well, despite the fact that Genshin Impact is super CPU and GPU heavy. So to me, I didn't really notice the big difference when it comes to the performance. So what could be the difference in the future? So one thing that you might have to think is the future proof. So iOS software update is limited based on your chipset. So theoretically, A14 Bionic chipset has better future proof and most likely get longer software support from Apple, but this one may not. Also, the Dave2D talked about this, which was interesting to me, was iOS software update is sometimes limited by the RAM. So this one has 3 gig and this is 4 gig of RAM. So this difference could be a factor whether or not you actually get future software updates. So I don't know what's gonna happen, but that's something that you should really consider. So if you're thinking about using this phone for a long time, iPhone 12 mini and 12 would be the best option. So lastly, I want to talk about who should get what. So for iPhone SE, if you want something that's really cheap, but also you don't care about camera and you don't play game, you're generally light user, you're just browsing web, Instagram, stuff like that, then iPhone SE could be actually a good option because it's really cheap. But also A13 Bionic chipset is relatively new, that came out last year. So most likely you can still use upcoming 4 to 5 years. So this one could be a good option if you don't care about gaming and camera. So for iPhone 12 mini, so this is great for someone who wants smaller iPhone because some women, kids have smaller hand. So this will be perfect for you. And also if you want to get like a better camera, if you want to play game maybe occasionally, this is a good phone to get. As I mentioned, if you're worried about battery life, this is actually not that bad if you're a light user. I think you are already a light user, that's why you're maybe considering this. So I don't think you should be really concerned about battery life. Just make sure that you turn on the setting that I told you earlier, then you can go through a day easily. Like screen time would be like 7 to 8 hours in the best case scenario. So if you want to play game, if you want to consume media a lot, this is one to get. Spec wise, it's basically the same. So this one obviously has bigger size, bigger battery, bigger display. So this gives you better experience in media consumption and gaming as well. So this has been my review in comparison. And if you have any question, let me know in the comment. And thanks so much for subscribing, everybody. It hits 60 subs, which is amazing. And the more contents to come. And next contents will be iPhone 12 Pro Max versus iPhone 11 Pro Max. What are the difference? Some more exciting things to come. And also, I'm gonna review HomePod, MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, Mac Mini with M1 chips. So yeah, stay tuned for that. So that's it for today. See you guys in the next one. Sayonara.